Is the wait going to be only one more week? I don't know, because it's becoming more and more unclear on when Tua Tagovailoa is going to return for the Miami Dolphins. A lot of reports out there suggested it could be Week 8 against Arizona, but then Mike McDaniel today kind of was non-committal towards when Tua is going to return. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. We'll break down everything here on today's episode, but make sure you are subscribed because we're putting out daily content on the Miami Dolphins and are live for every single game. But we are 122 subscribers away from reaching 62,000. Let's get there today. Why not? Let's do it. Hit that sub button to get daily Dolphins coverage. I want to take it back before we get into what Mike McDaniel said today, because last week on October 7th, the words that Mike McDaniel used were interesting. Tua's expert consultation scheduled this week. The final stages of protocol won't be achieved until we bring him back off IR, but everything so far is good. And then they also used other words like how everything's progressing very nicely. Like this exact phrase is where I want to go to next. Nothing negative so far. Everything is good, but we're still in the process. So last week, it really felt like after hearing from Adam Schefter that there really hasn't been any concussion-like symptoms for Tua Tagovailoa, and he's been on IR in the building, traveled to Seattle a week after it happened in week 3 and was on the sidelines. It felt like everything is going fine for him to return in week 8. And Omar Kelly felt the same way, who covers the Dolphins for the Miami Herald, saying this in an article yesterday. One more week and likely one more game. That's the expected timeline the Miami Dolphins will likely have to spend without Tua Tagovailoa. Blah, 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 the players, whatever. But the first part is where we wanted to showcase this, because based off what Mike McDaniel said last week, based on what Omar Kelly said yesterday, it felt like we were getting closer and closer to Tua being the QB1 for the Miami Dolphins once again. But then today, this morning, when Mike McDaniel returned to the building after the bye week and spoke to the media, he was very non-committal on when Tua will practice next week, when he's eligible to come off IR, because he's not eligible to come off until week 7. I know a lot of people thought he could practice this week because it's been 4 weeks. Not the case. If you go on IR, you have to miss 4 games. This week against the Colts is 4 games. But either way, said the meeting with another expert continues to be positive. The information Tua is seeking per Mike McDaniel. And that's the interesting thing here. Mike McDaniel was non-committal on when Tua Tagovailoa is going to return for the Miami Dolphins. But every time he's asked, every time he speaks about when Tua is going to return, how he's progressing through concussion protocol, how he's feeling on a day-to-day basis, it's always positive. There has never been one thing that Mike McDaniel said that might allude to the idea that he is not going to be able to return when he's first eligible to against the Cardinals the following week from now. So that's where it's confusing and what's a little conflicting here is like, where are we? Are we actually progressing nicely, or are we non-committal towards him being able to return, and it's actually going to be a month from now? That's where it's getting a little bit confusing on QB1. But I have originally been saying over the past couple of weeks that it feels like Tua's returning week 8 against the Cardinals. Well, I need you to predict it for me down in the comment section, and it's today's pinned comment. So if you hit with the YouTube ad break, let it play, scroll down and answer today's question. Will Tua return versus Arizona in week 8? Y for yes or N for no? Now, while speaking to media members, and I wanted to note this, it was the first time that Mike McDaniel officially committed to Tua returning in 2024. Now, most of us fans believe that. Adam Schefter reported it as well a couple weeks ago, but the Dolphins organization and coaching staff never actually said that Tua is 100% returning this season. Well, now he did say that. He said he doesn't know when he's going to return, doesn't want to put a timeline on it, but he knows it will be in 2024. So it's not something major, it's something minor. I just wanted to mention because, well, we always knew it was going to happen, but it's the first time the Dolphins have made a fact of that by speaking to the media. And I do want to get into a new segment here because we know what the situation is with Tua, if he's going to return, if he's not. But the season is far from over, folks. And we've mentioned how easy the schedule gets for the Dolphins over the next 6 games, and when Tua potentially could return, if he does against the Cardinals in week 8, how this team can really hit a launching board and spring towards the postseason. Because in the next 6 games, you play 5 bad football teams. Colts are 500, but they're not good. The Cardinals are not good. The Bills have lost 2 in a row before tonight's game against the New York Jets. We'll see how they play against New York today. And then you got the Rams, who are bad, the Raiders, who are horrific, and the Patriots, who currently have the worst record in football at 1-5 and would be drafting first overall if the draft was 2 days from now. So you're telling me that you've got 6 games in this next little stretch, and 5 of them are against 500 or below teams. This is your opportunity to really make a run. And if Tua does return in Week 8, there's no reason why this team can't go 4-2 or 5-1 in this next 6-game stretch and be sitting pretty going into the trade deadline and beyond with the final 5-6 games left in the season. And we're going to talk more about this in just a second. But we are sponsored by Game Time, the #1 ticketing app in the market, and you have to get started with them today. They specialize in lowest price guaranteed, last-minute tickets, and especially when you use the new features called Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. I'm actually going to Mets-Dodgers NLCS Game 4 in Queens. I am a Mets fan, and I'm going to check out my team in the biggest stage. I got my tickets with Game Time because they make sure I have the best value with all-in pricing. Toggle that feature. Allow to see the total price of your ticket up front rather than getting blindsided at checkout. You also get to see the seat view in the app before you buy, panoramic view of the entire venue, whether it is a sporting event, whether it is a comedy show, concert, theater, does not matter. Game Time will have you covered, and when the Fins return to Miami in a couple weeks against Arizona, maybe there is a Tua Tagovailoa playing quarterback for Miami. You can get your tickets with Game Time. Download the app today and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, first purchase only, but once again, download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? It's Game Time. Appreciate them for sponsoring today's show. All right, this is what Tua did in his first 3 quarters of action. He dropped back to pass 73 times, put up a 64.5% completion percentage. It was a shaky beginning. I mean, I'm not going to act like Tua was playing at some MVP level to begin the year. Now, he did look really good in that second half against Jacksonville. He ended up throwing for 320-plus yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. 1 touchdown in that game, that 80-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill. But here's the thing. When you think about the Dolphins, and even though Tua and the offense got out to a really slow start with the first 7 quarters of the season, 4 against Jacksonville, 3 against Buffalo with Tua at the helm, this offense is still tailor-made towards him. And we have seen the struggles of these backup quarterbacks in Miami, whether it be Skylar Thompson, whether it be Tim Boyle, whether it be the initial issue for Tyler Huntley against the Tennessee Titans. This team thrives when you have a quarterback like Tua, someone accurate, decisive, anticipatory, someone who understands this offense almost like a point guard in basketball, Chris Paul, Steve Nash. Not going to wow you with the crazy big plays with his legs and the strong arm, but he's going to get it to his playmakers when he needs to get it to them and let them do the work. That's why I think Tua is very misunderstood, and some Dolphins fans hate on him for no reason. He doesn't have the Josh Allen, the Patrick Mahomes, the C.J. Stroud abilities. No, but he has other abilities with his mind and his accuracy and just knows how to get his players the ball in stride and allow them to do the things that they can do after the fact. Tua is the perfect quarterback for the system, and the Dolphins need him back, especially with the opportunity on the horizon. The opportunity to make this run is absolutely here. We revisited the schedule in the last 6 games, or the next 6 games, I should say. It's very, very manageable for the Miami Dolphins. And then when you even think and go a step further about how bad these teams are defensively, this is where Tua and the offense can come back and hit their stride. But even this week with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, it gives them a really good opportunity to score some points. And I don't want to use no Tua as an excuse for not beating the Colts this week. I'm going to be dead serious because here is the numbers on the opposing defenses over the next 6 games. Pass is on the left, run is on the right. The Colts are a bottom 4 defense in the National Football League. 29th against the pass, 30th against the run. You should be able to score 3 touchdowns against the Colts with Tyler Huntley. And I would trust the defense to hold the Colts under 17 points. So I expect to win this week. The Cardinals are not good. The Bills are not good. The Rams are not good. The Raiders are the best defense you're probably playing over the next 6 weeks. And then the Patriots have also had their struggles against the pass. But assuming in Week 12, Tua is definitely back. And even if you just have Tyler Huntley for the next 2 weeks, say Tua makes his return against Buffalo and waits another week, you're still facing 4 bottom half defenses in your first 4 games when Tua is returning. And with how bad the Colts defense have played this entire season, they're giving up 34 points against Trevor Lawrence, giving up 17 points against Will Levis. This defense has really, really struggled against the pass and the run, and I would expect Miami to be able to find the end zone at least 2 times, at bare minimum 2 times this week with Tyler Huntley, add on a couple field goals. If you get to 20 points this week against the Colts, I think this defense is going to be able to hold them under 20, and you'll be able to get a win. The opportunity is there against very bad defenses with Tua's return on the horizon. You saw the 6 games coming up next for the Miami Dolphins. Predict the record for me in those 6 games. I'm going to go modest. I'm going to go 4-2, but I think 5-1 is absolutely on the table with that one loss potentially being in Buffalo. But who knows? Maybe if Tua returns against the Cardinals and you're able to go into Buffalo, who's kind of reeling right now, and get that win, you can really start to talk about the AFC division crown being back on the table. I think if you're going to make a run, it has to be now. And the last 6 games of the season as well, as there's 12 games left, I think this next stretch of 6 is the more manageable one. But even the final 6 is coming together a lot more easier than expected, right? The 49ers, Texans, Browns, Jets twice. I feel like there's a decent opportunity for Miami to make a run here. The Jets aren't as good as we thought they were. The Browns are really, really poor. The Packers is that other interesting game on Thanksgiving, which who knows how that ended up going. But we know that the next 6 games are much more manageable than the final 6 games. And if they're able to go 4-2, 5-1, have a nice little run here, get the offense back clicking with Tua Tagovailoa if he does return in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to be saying this team has a legit chance to make the playoffs, and maybe they can finally win a playoff game. Likely would have to be on the road, but who knows? Maybe the Bills falter and you win the division crown. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed. Just about 100 subscribers away from 62K. Let's get there ASAP. We're dropping content on a daily basis, sometimes even 2 videos a day, but are also live during Tuesdays and on game days, so join the channel today.